Hi everyone, it's Jen again. Hope you all had a good week. I had a pretty interesting week, to be honest. Work was pretty busy and I've been kind of coming down with some type of a cold. Friday I pretty much stayed in bed and just like slept. I think I slept almost the entire day away. But somehow when I'm making this video, it seems like I have a lot to show off, and I think it's because I'm in that part of development where I am just kind of taking all the pieces that I've been gradually making and I'm putting together to test to make sure that I have somewhat of a cohesive overall vision for this project. So a lot of the stuff that I have in place right now is what would maybe be just like a paper puppet, just a very thin veneer of like visual presentation to represent like my overall like concepts, but a lot of the concepts haven't actually been like developed or fleshed out or like working. This is just sort of like my putting together the major elements and just making sure that like I like the overall like flow of the way that I want to present these ideas. And for that I have to say I feel like I am pretty happy with the way things overall right now. I can sort of see like a clear vision of how I want to go forward. It's going to require a lot of getting into the nitty-gritty details of getting a lot of like my concepts for the combat and stats and bonding systems to work properly, but for now anyways it looks like I did a lot because it's just mostly like placeholder stuff as far as the things behind the scenes. The rest of the month I'll probably won't have as much to show for myself because I will be going in and doing like all the fine detailing, but this week it's going to seem like I've made some big like jumps in progress when really I just kind of have like my foundation in place. So you can see that I had gotten like a general GUI polished a little bit more as far as like having a main menu. I've got my logo here, but this is not going to be the final cover art for the main title. It's still just a placeholder. I have the general flow of my battle system set up. So the way that I envisioned this was going to be a turn-based combat with some memory card aspect to it, which I'm saying out loud sounds really crazy. So my major concern with the battle system is that even though I had kind of made the general functionality of the cards working back in January, whether or not I was going to be able to like make the transition from like the turn-based aspect of like choosing your action and seeing the actions depicted, if that was going to intermix with like the card aspect of the battle. And I'm actually like pretty happy with just finding the right balance between having some transitions and then having some persistent imagery to like not make it too jarring. I'll talk about that a little bit more after like kind of showing how this looks. So we have our sort of placeholder sprites. I am planning on animating these with some idle animation as well as having like attack animations and flinching animations implemented at some point. These characters could end up being resized and their positions could end up moving around a little bit. I did draw them oversized so that I would be able to play around with that. So I might end up showing more of their body in the idle pose. I definitely wouldn't plan on zooming in anymore to like the backs of their heads. This would probably be as large as I would go. We have our protagonist on this side here, who is the active combatant. So she is got a darker outline and her like colors are more accurate to how she would look. And then we have our kind of spiritual guide, our companion, who's not actually present here. So he's more of like a combination of like, I guess you could think of like a familiar, a spirit companion, a tech support to help the protagonist navigate the dungeon and eliminate these contaminants. Okay, that's her job. The battle opens up with choosing an advantage, and these are going to be based on certain stats. Right now, I just have this placeholder text here to say something's going to happen. The enemy has a turn. Of course, there will be like I don't know, numerical and like animation to kind of show the character's reaction to this this attack, but right now it's just placeholder text. We have our start of turn of combat, so the player can choose between doing an attack, which is going to be with the protagonist trying to inflict damage upon the enemy, or we can do a support, which is going to be calling upon our spirit companion here to either buff or debuff. When we choose one of these options, it's going to go into the card aspect of it, and the player can flip over 4 cards. So I'm going to flip. Now this was bad luck on my part because these blue cards are basically support cards, so if I try to use them, you're going to hear it go and then I can't select it again. So these cannot be used. This card here, that is the attack card, you can see it says it's a corporeal order attack, so there's different elements in this game, and so order would be like kind of like the elemental attribute of this attack. Just like these support cards here, they say they're support and then they have the element of discord. So this is the only card that I can use, and then once it's selected and I says I can't use these, I just have to end my turn with like the 1 attack. Enemy attacks. Now I can go back to the support and I can say, well, I know where 3 support cards are. And then, oh, lucky me, I picked another support card. So I could actually use all 4 of those. And these are planned to have like stacking effects, so like the more cards that you can use in one turn, the better. And you can see the way the system is set up too, that we have these cards are used and the cards are still set in place. So whether or not I choose to use any of them, like I could use these 3 cards here, or I could just pass completely on this turn and not use them, and these cards will still be there for me to be able to use next time. I'm going to go ahead and use them because I think using 3 cards in a turn is still pretty good. And there's just like little things that I tried to do to make this transition and this system like a little bit less jarring. So we're going to see that like when it's the attack phase or the attack option, there's sort of like this like light green grid that's there. That's going to try to remind the player, whether in their conscious or subconscious, that we're looking for attack cards, which being unsuccessful. Versus if we choose to do the support route, we have like a blue grid back there. And this is of course based on the element of your spirit companion, being that this particular character is very high in the discord stat, and all of his support and debuff abilities are like based around the discord element. That confirm button is gonna be better. That is also just a placeholder for now. And so we're gonna see that like after we've used these 2 cards, these 4 cards, even though there's 2 cards left on the board, every turn initiation, there's going to be a check to make sure that I have enough cards on the board, and if we don't, then we're going to reshuffle the cards and have new cards. So because I didn't have 4 cards that I could turn over that were left, we have a whole new layout. And this would just repeat. Normally I like to start with attack because there are technically more attack cards in this deck than there are support cards. There's 20 attack cards and 16 support cards. I do want to have the customization later on in the game to be able to choose what cards that you want to put in your deck, as well as having the options to choose like what companion, spirit companion, that you want to take with you on the mission. And that is basically, yeah, that's basically the layout that I have for this. And I'm pretty happy with it. I find the combat to be actually like more addictive than I thought it would be, because I actually enjoy going through quite a bit and finding the cards that I want. And yeah, even since I don't have the condition check to see if like either myself or the protagonist or the enemy has died. I don't have those systems in place yet, so it just keeps going and going, and I actually have quite a bit of fun doing the card aspect of this. This is not going to be a grindy game. There's going to be a set number of enemies per dungeon that you have to find and defeat. So in the first dungeon, there's only going to be 4 enemies, 3 of them being like these kind of like common enemies, and 1 of them being like a boss enemy. So yeah, the display of information right now makes it seem like I'm doing a lot of damage to the enemy, but their defenses are going to be planned to be much higher in the final release. I don't have the defenses implemented yet, so it's going to be more critically important to be able to time your buffs and debuffs to kind of build up your attack and make sure you're stacking your cards in order to have the maximal effect. Alright, well, that's been my week in a nutshell. Hope you're having a good week, and hope you have a good upcoming week. And as always, don't forget to enjoy the process. Take care. Bye-bye.